do you mind, honey, to your best ability, to share with our listeners your physical example of some of the stuff we've been learning, what you've been going through, and your physical analogy with your hands?
Yeah, it was a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we were in the car, and I just kept opening my palms up to Matt with my fingers kind of held open, and I kept going like, I just keep feeling like this, and I'd hold my palms up and open, like accepting something, right? And I was like, I don't know what this means. Does this mean anything to you?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I think I just am imagining water or sand just kind of like rolling, like hitting my palm and just kind of like falling through my fingers. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I was like, okay, like I've gone through my life holding on really tight. I have really high expectations for myself, and I'm like a visual person, right? I think probably a lot of people listening we're artists. So I would imagine the full spectrum of something. If I'm planning a party, it's going to be like this, and this person's going to say this, and they're going to feel like this. And when those things don't happen, you're inevitably disappointed, right? We set up these expectations, and we miss all that beauty. And so visually, I just felt like we're visualizing, or we're worried about the things that slipped through our fingers.
Yes.
And we're not really focusing on what remains in our palm. And so to me now, I just like when things are stressful or feel heavy, we just kind of hold our palms open to each other. And like, if we not lower expectations, but like just be open to what is possible, what could be, most likely it's going to turn out even cooler, even more wonderful than we could have planned if we were holding so tight. And for me, I held so tight, and like my marriage still ended. My sister still died. You know, like these things, we do this and these things still happen, right? Like they can still happen when we do this too, but I feel like we just like, we rob ourselves. I've been
accepting.
Yeah. Like small, silly example, but our niece got married in September. And, you know, like with weddings, there's all this planning and money and stress.
Big outdoor wedding,
all
beautiful.
Outdoors, yeah. And it poured. It poured.
Like 3 minutes before the ceremony, thunderstorm shows up. And they didn't have a plan B, really. This is an outdoor wedding. They
even called it earlier. Like everyone came early trying to miss the rain.
Yeah, and then the weather changed and met us. You know, we were going to have the wedding 2 hours earlier because rain was coming. They bumped it up. The guests came early. The rain came early, too.
Yeah, so they ended up having to get married in the living room of this house.
Yeah.
And my niece is very cool. Both the couple, like they're amazingly cool and just easygoing. But you could see it was a choice. And like, we have to decide, are we devastated or not? And it ended up being the most amazing wedding I've ever been to. There was a heated pool, and half the guests ended up in the pool because we were already soaking wet because of the water.
In our suits and our dresses.
We were all swimming.
I would have continued. I was thinking that. I was like, I would have just stood in the rain beside the dude marrying us.
Yeah. No, but after people, it always takes like one person to make the choice, and then someone else follows, and someone else does, and they made the right choice, starting with the wedding party themselves, right? Yeah. And of course, our 3-year-old Sybil helped. She was the first one in the pool. I was trying to get her to not go in the pool in her dress, and finally it was like, fuck it, I let her go in. And before you know it, it turned into like that scene in A Wonderful Life when the floor opened up and it became a pool, and everyone's in there fine dance, and people just start jumping in, and it became one of the funnest weddings ever. But we pivoted.
Yeah, right? It was again open your hands, and if you could have robbed yourself if like, especially my sister Angie, who was the mother of the bride, like she did so much of the planning, and she had every right that her molehills, like she did so much planning, and she had every right to feel disappointed and how much didn't work out. But they also didn't rob themselves of what was in the palms, and that was like what really mattered, right? Like all those details can matter to us, but they don't matter about us, right? So it could matter to the wedding, but it didn't matter about the wedding. And what we were left with was like, it was just free and fun and love. It just felt so like
such delight.
Yeah. And so that's just like a small example of like just a choice of letting go of expectations, and it is a choice.